was it promotion? There's no excuse if you haven't seen it and you're looking for something good to watch. You like kind of action shows. This is one that you got to watch. Probably one of the greatest shows on Disney Plus, I will say. It is starring Carrie Russell, who is quickly becoming one of my favorite actresses, based solely on the projects that she's in, and her characters are very diverse. I think she's in another show right now, but I can't remember, but it's a pretty popular show that she's in right now. And starring alongside of her is Philip Jennings. He is amazing at what he does as well. And they're actually married in real life because they actually met. I'm off topic here, but they met years before the filming of this show, and nothing ever happened, and they met again on set, and sparks flew, and yeah, anyways, okay, off on a tangent, let me get into this show, guys. So, let me just read to you the synopsis, because I'm afraid that I won't make any kind of sense. So let me just bring it up here, just to give you guys a bit of an idea of what the show is about. Okay, during the Cold War, two Russian spies who are married to each other and have children pose as Americans while residing in my hometown, Washington, D.C. So basically what's happening here is Elizabeth, when she's early 20s, and her husband as well, they basically meet each other in a room, and they are told by the Russian government, or Moscow, so what, reporting back to Moscow, they tell them, they tell Elizabeth and Philip, meet your husband, meet your wife. There is no exchanging of the vows, no time to see if they're actually compatible. They're just put together. I guess the compatibility is already determined by the government, who knows. And they are expected to have kids and to create what looks like a normal family life, but they are reporting back to Moscow, going on missions every day. It took them a while to build the love connection. At first, Elizabeth's character was like, don't really, this is not what this is, like, this is just work, okay, do your own thing, I got my own thing. She was actually having an affair with somebody. I don't know if it was for 15 years, but she was having, no, not for 15 years, she was having an affair with another man that she really connected with for quite a while. And when we watch the show, in the beginning, we kind of see when that feeling of, oh, I think I love this person, comes up, and are we really gonna give this marriage a real try, like with real feelings, real commitment? let's just tell the kids who their kids at this point are about 15 years old and maybe 13, something like this. Let's just tell the kids that we are separating. We can't divorce. They can't divorce because actually they probably could. That was one of Philip's points. He said, if you're really unhappy and you don't want to be with me, I'm sure that Moscow wouldn't mind if we got a divorce. But they didn't. They just separated for some time and then eventually got back together. So this was kind of the beginning of their actual romantic relationship and what that marriage dynamic looks like in conjunction with their different missions. So Philip has a couple cases that he's on, and Elizabeth has different cases that she's on. Let's talk about the main one. So it basically, as the show goes, that Moscow tells them, okay, we need somebody who works in the FBI because we need to get information from the director, what they're planning, what their moves are. So you need to get close to somebody who works with the director of the FBI, and the person who's the closest to that is the secretary. Her name is Martha. So Philip begins a relationship with Martha. It kind of seems like it comes out of nowhere, but she's somebody who wants to be in a relationship but just hasn't met anybody, and so now Philip comes along and it's perfect. He's handsome, he's sure of himself. She doesn't know exactly what he does, but she knows that it's something for the government or whatever, and they have this arrangement where he will come maybe a couple days during the week whenever he's not working, because he works a lot, which in reality he has his own marriage and his own family. She has no idea. He wears disguises, just like Elizabeth. They both wear these horrible wigs and disguises. They just look so bad. And glasses. And anyways, so they begin a relationship, and he really needs to gain her trust and to make her do things that she wouldn't do if she wasn't in love with him. So one of the things that he gets her to eventually do is put a bug in the FBI director's office so that he can spy on all of the conversations, so that Moscow knows what the FBI is doing, so they know their next move. And so anyways, Martha starts to go along with these things. I'm actually, what season am I on? I think I am, there's 6 seasons and I'm on season 4, and I can't wait to get to the end to see what happens for Martha and every other character. So basically it's kind of like this. They have different missions and they need to get close to certain people to spy and get, information. And their mission is only done when Moscow tells them, okay, mission complete. And it's weird because it's not like a mission that you do for a day or for a couple weeks. They don't know how long these missions are going to be. With Martha, for example, this man has a full-blown relationship with her. He actually even has his own society. I don't know, I really, really enjoy it. And classic, like Jane Austen's Northanger Abbey. I didn't read the book. I actually just got the classic Pride and Prejudice, but I didn't read Northanger Abbey, and it's just such a cute love story movie, free on YouTube. And I'm telling you, I love these like English movies. My favorite one, my all-time favorite one, to be honest, it's North and South. I mean, if you saw that movie, you'd understand why. Northanger Abbey is basically about this young girl who is being introduced into society by, I think it's a family friend that's really close to her family, and then he has money, and she goes to visit him, and he buys her really nice outfits and dresses so that she can be introduced into society and meet somebody. And she bumps into this guy who is the son of a very, very rich man. Oh my goodness, what's his name? He's so adorable. Northanger Abbey. What's his name? Characters. So the character's name is Henry Tilney. But he's played by J.J. Field. He's such a great actor. Anyways, he's so adorable in this. And so you kind of see when they meet and how they like each other. And you have this other male character, well, actually a brother and sister duo who are kind of menaces in a way. They're really annoying. And you can just see that their aim is to marry rich. So the sister thinks that she's going to marry, gosh, what's her name? Catherine's brother. So Catherine's the main character. So this one sister thinks that she's going to marry Catherine's brother, but finds out that he's not rich and is like devastated and tries to hook up with Henry Tilney's brother, but he doesn't care about, like, he's in the military and doesn't, like, he sleeps with women and doesn't take it seriously, and so she's devastated. And then Catherine is with Henry Tilney, and you kind of see kind of a courtship, I guess, between the two. And Henry Tilney's father thinks that she is rich, but she's not. And anyways, he invites her to this huge castle, and there you can see Catherine and Henry with Henry's sister, like going on walks and just really connecting and talking about literature and things like this. And one night at midnight, Henry's father comes home and basically tells Catherine to get out in the middle of the night, taking a carriage or whatever by herself to go all the way back home. She lived very far away. It was horrible, all because he found out that she wasn't rich. And then in the end, you kind of see, well, Henry was upset with her before the father kicked Catherine out, because Catherine was suspicious about this huge mansion and the death of Henry's mother, and how strong and cold and mean Henry's father was. She thought that there was something sinister that happened, and she brought this to Henry's attention, and Henry was so angry at her, and she thought that Henry told her his father, and that's why he kicked her out. But it's only because he found out that she was not indeed rich, and then Henry follows her back home, like the next day or whatever, and they, get married, and he's like, I told my father basically to F off, and I'm in love with previews, it looked scary. Now, I will say that episode 1 is not scary at all. It only is at the end of season 2 that you start to see the scary kind of stuff. The thing about these type of things is that the storyline is good. I like the comedy aspect in it, even the singing sometimes. It has this kind of a humor to it that doesn't make it heavy, which I like. It's fun, it's magical. But the scary parts about it is when they manipulate the movements of scary characters. When they move slowly and then super fast, or like one of the scary characters coming down the steps, and instead of just walking like normal, you're like laying down and crawling. It's just like, why? Oh gosh. But I think Agatha All Along can be scary, and I just look at my phone during those moments to distract myself because I don't want to see it. But episode 1's not scary. I'm thinking of continuing to watch it because it is a good storyline. The only thing with Agatha All Along is that it is a sequel to WandaVision. Now, I don't know anything about WandaVision. I never watched it before. If you did, then you know what I mean. You don't necessarily need to watch WandaVision to understand Agatha All Along, but it's good to have an idea of what they're talking about, because in Agatha All Along episode 1, you see that Agatha is actually stuck in Wanda's spell. So basically, I got this article from Deadline about what to remember before watching, which is actually good because it makes things make sense. So, it says viewers first met Agatha Harkness when she was masquerading as Wanda's nosy neighbor in Westview, Ohio. Now, Wanda in WandaVision is played by Elizabeth Olsen, and I had no idea. Because I love the Olsen twins, that's their younger sister. I used to watch all their movies when I was a kid. Now this is a dream town that Wanda created with a very powerful hex. Kind of reminds me of Once. I'm so all over the place, guys, sorry. Now, what happens in the final few episodes of the last season is Agnes reveals her true identity as Agatha Harkness, a very powerful and old witch who is after Wanda's source of power. So in the season finale, there's a showdown between Wanda and Agatha, where Wanda applied Agatha's runes lesson. So, before Wanda's defeat, Agatha revealed that she was in possession of the Darkhold, or the Book of the Damned. The Black Book is a powerful and deadly source of magic that requires immense sacrifice to possess. In the end, Agatha remained trapped in Westview as Agnes, now unaware of her true identity due to a hex cast upon her by Wanda. She has also been stripped of her magic, and that's where audiences will find her at the beginning of the new series. So that's basically what this is. I think I'm going to continue watching it. Like I said, I don't really like horror stuff, but it seems to have a nice humor to it. Okay, now Tolkien. It's a movie on Disney Plus. It's been out for a while. This is basically a story on the guy who wrote The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings. Just incredible author. And it's played by Nicholas Hoult, and he's starring alongside Lily Collins. And this was a really touching movie. We saw in this movie how this character of Tolkien grew up in an orphanage and was looked after by a priest. And in this home that he lived in, he met 4 other boys. And together they formed this group, and they promised that they would change the world by writing. And yeah, they made this group and they grew up together. And in this house she's not like mentally stimulated in any way. And so with her friend, who's, you know, played by Nicholas Hoult, she meets the other boys of this club. And when she's meeting the other boys of this club, we see that Nicholas begins to get, I'm calling them by their names, not their characters, sorry. Anyways, he starts to get a bit jealous of this connection that she's talking to one of his friends about the art of, well, not the art of, talking about different composers and kind of starting a little debate about the music, and it's something that he doesn't really know about, but he gets jealous because he starts to see a connection forming, and then his friend is interested in her, and we see him leave immediately with her saying we need to go, and she gets upset about that. Like, I literally just spend my days entertaining this woman. I just want to have a debate, talk to somebody about something I'm passionate about, and you stop that. And anyways, that kind of leads to us seeing their romantic connection forming. Now it gets to a point where he needs to get to Oxford and take this test to get into Oxford, and the priest, he fails the first time, he has to retake it, and the priest that's looking after him says, whatever's happening between you and this girl, Lily Collins, needs to stop. After you're 18 or whatever, you can pursue this relationship, but for right now, you cannot. You need, or after your studies, you need to focus on this test and your studies and going to Oxford. And this makes, you know, him very upset and angry, and he's like, you have no idea what you're talking about, you're a priest, I'm in love. But in the end, he has to focus on Oxford because what's the alternative for him? And so he goes to Oxford, and we see that he's kind of not doing so well. He actually gets a scholarship taken away and probably has to return home. But he starts to work on his writing, and he created this language in his writing, and he finds out that Lily Collins' character is getting married because some time has passed, and he gets drunk, goes into a courtyard and starts yelling out his language that he made up, and one of the professors hears this, and the next day he is a professor who specializes in languages and in creating languages. And so through this professor, he sees an opportunity to be able to stay in Oxford by switching his major to his class or to this study. And so we see him continuing in that way, but then the war begins, World War I, and the men have to go off to war. They're all being drafted off to war. His best friends since childhood are sent off, and we see him and Lily Collins' character connect again because he sends a letter to her just asking for her to meet him. So they meet up, and they're like, you know, we love each other. And she's like, I'm gonna wait for you. Come back. Be alive. Stay alive. And we see the horror that he faced in war and what he saw around him. And when he gets back home, he discovers that two of his friends didn't make it. And one of his friends wrote poetry that was a part of this club that they formed. And he just wrote him a letter saying that if I don't make this, you gotta continue what we started. And he basically asked his friend's mother, if he could publish his poetry, and she says yes, and it's actually really beautiful because he publishes poetry, and it's called so the book is called A Spring Harvest by Joffrey Bash. I think that's how you pronounce his last name, Bash. So Joffrey died at the age of 22 years old, I believe, it was just so beautiful of the work that Tolkien did and what he created in the stories that he created, and he saw how he was beginning to write the first line of The Hobbit, and we see Tolkien's character Lily Collins living on the Oxford campus because he was a Oxford professor, and now they had kids and things like this, and I think she died first and he died 2 years later, and on their gravestones is a name of two fictional characters, Beren and Luthien. Now, in Tolkien's legendarium, Beren and Luthien are central characters in a poignant love story. These characters are found in the Silmarillion. Their tale symbolizes the themes of love, sacrifice, and mortality as Beren, a mortal man, falls in love with Luthien, an immortal elven princess. Their relationship faces numerous challenges, including the disapproval of Luthien's father and the trials imposed by the Dark Lord Morgoth. I mean, how beautiful. I'm sure he had that put on there because his wife died first, and it was just a symbol of their relationship and the magic that was between them, and their love for literature and storytelling. It's very beautiful. So that was a really touching movie. Now, next it's another random one, Rose Hill. This is a movie, Justin Chambers he's in Grey's Anatomy, and he's starring with Jennifer Gardner and a few other characters. Rose Hill was a really touching one. It's basically a story, I think, of how many brothers? 4 brothers, probably, all like orphans, and they are planning to leave their town, and they're in their carriage, and this woman runs and puts a baby in their carriage, these 4 little kids, and they look and see that it's a baby, and instead of giving her away or putting her somewhere else, they keep her, and they start to go out and look for work on ranches or in a town somewhere, and you kind of just follow their story on how these 4 little boys grew up and took care of their little sister, and they formed their own family. When they didn't have any other family, it was just them, and they made it work. They bought some land, built a house, took care of her, read with her, tried to do their best to teach her certain things, and they just made a really nice life for themselves. But as they got older, you see that they, in a way, drift apart. There's this one main character who stays on the land, and in the house that they build together, but like one brother goes off and gets a job somewhere else, another one leaves town, and this actually happened because, unfortunately, what's his name again? Justin Chambers' character, he gets into this shootout fight with this rival, and he loses his life, which was devastating that one of them, died. And after this, it really broke apart the family, and Jennifer Garner's character really wants to know her origins and find where she came from, who is her real family. And so the guys, they tell her where she came from, the house, and any information that they could remember from when they were kids. And she goes back, finds the house. She looks, there's this man who opens the door who is her actual father, and she sees a painting of her mother who looks just like her. And, she tells them that, I'm your daughter. Somebody put me in the back of a carriage when I was a baby, and that's what happened, because they had no idea what happened to their daughter. And we see how she stays at this house and gets to know her father and his family. this time, and I think it's her father who sets her up with this church, this priest, so that she can get married to somebody. This man doesn't know her. He's a good, honest, working farmer, and he believes that maybe it's God's will to help out this woman and, to see what this marriage can be. And so they meet and they get married the day that they meet, and it takes her some time to adjust. She is a girl from the city, and now she's moved out to the quiet countryside with this farmer in this kind of old house. And you see she's a bit uncomfortable, and he is doing his best to make her comfortable and do everything that he can to make her happy. But in her mind she's thinking, I'm eventually gonna go back to the city or something, make up some reason why we got divorced, But you see that she makes an effort to make friends. Carrie's character meets these two Japanese sisters, and they are living in Japanese intermittent camps, and they are made to work on the farm. But they were originally living in California, doing their studies, having a normal life, and then gets placed in this middle of nowhere intermittent camp, having to do this work until they can, eventually, hopefully, go back home. But anyway, she makes friends with them, invites them over to the house, and she meets Skeet Ulrich's character's family, and they are the sweetest. It's really a sister and the sister's husband and kids. They just welcome her so much, and it really helps with her adjusting. And anyways, so let me just read to you the synopsis, right? So, an educated woman becomes pregnant out of wedlock during World War II. Her family experiences acute embarrassment. They compel her to wed to a lonesome farmer to give her baby a fatherly figure. So that's what it's about. However, she's not so happy there, and she plans on going back home to the city to maybe live with her sister. And when she's getting ready to leave, the character's name is Ray, who she's married to. So it's Lucy married to Ray. Ray is like really emotional and is just saying, I really love that baby, and I love you, and I want you to stay here, and I want us to make this work, and I do everything to make you happy. She would mention little things about how she liked to swim before, and he started to dig something out in the backyard for so that he could build a pool for her and the kids, because he really planned to have a real marriage with her. So he was just a really good guy, and so she decided to stay. And you just see how they began to really fall in love, because he was such a good man, and she decided that she did want to give it a try, and she had her baby, and it was just a really wholesome movie. I'm probably not describing any of this really well, but yeah, it's a really great movie. Only Murders in the Building season 4. Oh my goodness, this show just has my heart. Okay, I'm currently on the last episode that just, wait, what's the, okay, my favorite part in how she's over Hollywood. I mean, it was just the funniest scene in how she talks and interacts with Meryl Streep's character. I mean, just so funny. But this show is just so good. It's like when you think that they figured out who the murderer is, it's not them. And it's just so good, this show. So of course I'm watching Only Murders in the Building. Anyways, guys, to me, I feel like I didn't make much sense, but hopefully it does. And thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna end it here, and I'll see you